Hello everyone, my name is Maria and I have a moment's peace for at least an hour, so I wanted to go ahead and do this video that I've been planning to do for a long time. This is some very basic Copic coloring. I wanted to see if I could help out some people that are having some issues or still don't understand how to do basic blending. And I've been there, done that, so I wanted to do one. I know there's plenty of videos out there, but I wanted to make one to see if I could help someone out there that still does not understand it well. So I stamped this very simple image from I think it's called Pure Innocence, from My Favorite Things. It's a very, very basic image, which is perfect for me to try to explain what I'm gonna explain to you today. I stamped it on Neenah 80-pound Solar White Smooth, which is one of my favorite papers to color on, and this is my favorite ink to stamp on because it dries up almost immediately and I don't have to worry about the ink smearing or smudging while I'm coloring. And I am using here, I wrote them down, E11 or E11, E00 and E000, which is a very basic skin color and is easy to follow. I usually like to start with the darkest, but you could start with the lightest if you want. It's up to you. I took the Copic coloring classes, and usually they like to saturate the paper first with the lightest color to make it easier for you to blend the other colors. But let's try it the other way, which is starting with the darkest, E11, and see how that works for you. So I'm going to start, I usually like to start from the corner, depending on the hairstyle. This one is very basic, so I am just going to start just kind of following the shape of the face here. Some people like to sort of flick out this way. I do it sometimes, it all depends, but this time I'm just gonna kind of draw with my marker this kind of like a almost like a moon, crescent moon here, and you can see that. Then I'm gonna go to the medium color, which is E00. That's the next lightest, and I am going to pull out, I'm not going all the way here, but I'm gonna pull out from the edge the other color that I already put down. So I work it, try to make it blend, and see how that's already blending there. I sometimes in the video it shows a little different from real life, but I hope you can see what I'm doing. And then just kind of work it. And at this time I'm flicking over to the side, or you can just, you know, color however it's more comfortable for you to get a smooth blending. It looks a lot darker in the video, but on real life it's not as dark, so I'll see if as it dries up it looks more like real life. And then the lightest is E000, and I usually, because it's the lightest, I like to work it from this side towards the darker color, because the lighter colors seem to pull a lot from the darker ones, so I like to actually just kind of push into the other color as opposed to pulling from this way, if that makes any sense. Like that. So see, those two blend it beautifully. The E11 is the darkest, so what I'm going to do, if I want to lighten that up more, I just go back with it and then just darken just a smaller area. Maybe I went a little too far with the dark one, because you don't really need that much. So just darken it a little bit. Then go back with your, and I was using again E11 or E11, and then E00. I'm gonna go and just kind of pull that color out a little more, because I want to lighten it. I just want like a little, and then I guess against the rule that you don't go all the way back, you could go a little farther back or closer to that, just to lighten up that side there, because it's a little too dark. So you just kind of pull the color out, and then you finish it off with the lightest. You want to go over again. I usually go at least 2 times. I do it 1 time, then I go back over and do it again, just until I'm happy with the blending. So that's very basic there. Then we'll do the same to the neck and the rest of the body, but I just wanted to show you the skin blending and the hair. I didn't pick out the hair colors yet, so let me just continue with the skin, and then I'll do another one for the hair, which is another one that I know gives a lot of problems. So then again, I'm going to start with E11 or E11, and I'm going to do a little shadow here because this little area here under the neck that casts a shadow because of the head. And then I just find where I want it to be darker. So if it's closer to the body, you want to do it darker. And then as it is exposed out to the light, then you want that to be lighter. Then you do the same thing with the legs. The inner part of the legs here is casts a shadow. So that's the area you want to have darker because it is not exposed as the light as this side here. And you could do a little thing here for the knee if you want. Then you go to the next one, E00. And then you do the same principle as you did up here. If you notice, as it dries, it kind of smooths even more, so it looks really nice. So then again, you just pull out some of that darker color out. Just kind of go over this a little bit because I don't want to lose. You can turn the paper, which I like to do, to get a better angle and color. And I'm just pulling out to the outer part of the leg. And here we're going to do, well, let me do it this way first. And everybody has their own way to color. So you find your own. Whatever works for you, that's what I suggest you do, because not everybody has the same style. Then I go with the lightest. And then like I said before, I like to go from the opposite end because this light colors tend to pull out from the darker colors. And see, I'm losing that, but I'll just go back with my marker and just go over that again. And then I turn the paper and I just color the outer part, which is lighter because it is more exposed to the light versus the inner part. Then you finish up the toes, which I'm not going to worry too much about. So then you look at it and you say, okay, I think I want to put a little more dark there. Like I said, I usually do it twice. It looks better. Oh, I forgot the top part. So let's go back to the top, and then I'll go back to the legs. Then I had already put down E11. Now I'm going to go with E00. And I'm going to pull out some of that color out again. And then same here. It's just a little bit because there's not that much room to do. So you just kind of go over the line a little bit and then just pull out some of that color. Just a little bit. And then you go with the lightest, which is E000. And then you finish it off. Like that. And it's not that much to it because there's not that much skin to color there. And that's about all I'm going to do to that. Let me go back to the legs because I think I want to do that one more time. So I go back with E11 and darken this area a little bit. And I think I have said it before, but the Copic markers, the colors, they continue to blend even after you stop coloring. So sometimes you want to just leave it alone after you have colored and let it continue to blend. And if you want to go back and do something else, then you can, but so just add a little here, a little something there, just for shadow. Let's go back then again with E, keep turning it, E00. And just very softly, you don't have to do it very hard, just kind of softly work it into the leg there. Just, some people like to do circles, which sometimes works, depends on the area that you're doing. And sometimes it's more like a flicking or pulling out, like I'm doing here. I sometimes do a combination. Like I said, it depends on the area I'm coloring. And I have to admit, sometimes some days it seems to be better than others in my coloring. So you'll find that out yourself too. I don't know why. Okay. Oh, down here too, on the toes. Not a whole lot, just a little bit something there. Then we finish it off with the lightest, which is E000. And like I said, then you leave it alone and let it to continue blend. And it will be smooth. Now here it's really nice and smooth, and it will be the same here. And like I said, just a slight motion. You don't have to hit it too hard. I mean, you don't hit it, you just, you know what I mean. So I'm going to leave it alone, and I'm going to let it continue to blend. Those colors will smooth out even more. Now, if I want to go back here, which I sometimes say I won't, but I do, I'm just going to darken this a little more because, you know, that's the neck part. And you want to show a little bit of contrast because that's darker. So I'm going to just leave it alone there. I won't do nothing else to it. And then let the colors just blend, because the paper is still wet. So as the paper dries, then the colors blend more. Let's see, since I thought of a color as I was coloring the skin, excuse me, one of my favorite blending colors for hair lately is E20, E23, E25, and E27, and sometimes E29. It depends how dark I want to go. So I'm going to write those for you here. E25, E27, oops, E23. Starting with E23. Messed up the order there a bit. Let me go ahead and fix that because I don't want to confuse you. The purpose of this is to make it easier, not confusing. So I'm going to start with E23, E25, and then E27. And here, as you can see, I'm reversing the order because I want to, as they call it, map out how I want the hair to look like, where I want the shadows to be. So here I am not going to flick. I'm going to do the simple method of blending. And then we can do flicking later on, which is a more difficult technique. So here I am just going to lay out some color. The top is supposed to be lighter, again, because it is exposed to light. And sometimes they like to leave a highlight like here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my lighter color where I want my highlights to be. That way I remember where. So then we'll test it out maybe here. Maybe make the highlight a little longer so that it sort of matches. And then leave it at that. Then I will go with the next one, which is E27, E25. And my E27 has gone somewhere here. Here we go, E27, which will be my darkest. So then I'm going to go over the areas that I just went over, except for this one, because that would be my highlight. And I will leave this area here, I guess, as a highlight. So I'm just going to go over with my marker. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this here. So I'll leave that as a highlight on top. And then the bottom is usually darker. I've seen sometimes. So let's do this here. We can do this. And go sort of a little bit into my highlight. I'm looking at it, deciding if I want to do this a highlight or here, but I think I want to be, because behind the flower it might be a little darker. So let's do that. Okay. So next, I will do a hair again just to go over that technique. So wherever I put down color, I'm going to put more color. So this would be E27. That would be, this would be the darker area, which you want to put less of. You may have heard. When you have darker, you want to put less. So here where I went over with the medium color, I'm going back with the darker color. And remembering that this is my highlight, I don't want to put any color there. And then here at the bottom, I'm going to use the darker color and just pull it up. For me, it's easier. You can just try different ways, but so this is the darker color. So I put it here, and I'm just going, see, I'm not flicking really. I just putting color down. Then go back down to your E25. And then wherever you put the dark, like we did with the skin, then you're gonna pull that dark a little bit. It's kind of hard to see because they're pretty close, but trust me, the E25 is lighter. So you kind of pull that darker color out a bit. And then here you do the same. So I'm pulling a little bit of that dark. Oop, I went over the skin a little bit. I can fix that. I'll show you how. I'm pulling some of that darker brown up a little higher. And I'm going to do the same here. Oops, sorry, I was covering that. Trying to grab the marker. And here too, where I have some dark, I'm going to pull it down a bit. Now, with the lightest color, I am going to do this. See, I'm going zigzagging in between. And here will be sort of the same thing. You zigzag up and down, up and down, up and down. See how it's taking shape? And then here we do the same. And there you have darker, darker, highlight, and then darker on the bottom. I hope that makes sense. If you want to go a little darker, you could, but yeah, going with E29, but I guess you can leave it at that. I went on the skin here a little bit. I could try fixing it a little bit with E000. Remember what I said, that those light colors tend to pull away color from the darker ones. So let's see if we can fix that with this one without having to use the marker to fix it, the 0 actually. So I'm just doing this to see if that works. And I think it does. You might leave a little line there, but I don't think it's that noticeable. There we go. So again, I went ahead and, which you could do, you could use this one to first see where you want to put your darker colors to give you an idea where, or where you want your highlights. And then you go back in with the darker ones and then start putting some color down. Or you could start with the dark, like I did with the skin, and then go from dark to light. And maybe I can show you that with another one here real quick. I don't want to make this video too long. So here, I have another one. Let's do it the other way. Let's see, we want to go with dark to light. Whatever is easier for you, that's what I said. But just remember to leave your highlights. So you could say, okay, I want it to be dark here. So I go ahead and lay the color down when I want it to be dark, right? And then I say, okay, I want my highlight to be here by the flower. And remembering that I'm using the darkest color, so you don't want to do it too high. So you want to go here and then stop about there. Because remember, we have the second color where you're going to put more color out, or more color down. So I want this to be my highlight. Put this here area. So I'm going to put some dark here. Leave some there for another highlight and then finish it off down here with the dark. Okay, so that's where your dark is going to be. Then you take your next one, E25, and then you pull some of that darker color out with the medium. They're pretty close, so, but it's still a little different. And then you do the same here, and you pull some of that darker one out, remembering to leaving the highlight. And here you do the same. And this is, again, I am not flicking. This is one of the methods that you could do to color hair, because I know flicking is a little harder. And then with the lightest, E25, then you can do a back and forth, zigzag kind of motion. See, like that. And then here. And then you do the same here. Then you go back here, and you do the same. So you try, I only did it once here, so it looks lighter than this one, I guess. So you could do it again. If you want it to be darker, then you go back with the darkest one, and then you go over, you go over the part that was darker. And you can pretty much leave it alone because the paper is still wet. You can pretty much leave it alone and let that blend. But me, I can never do that. So I always just, with a very light touch, I go back with my medium color, which is E25. And then I just very lightly touch it again. Very lightly touch it. And just go over it one more time. Like I say, I think 2 is the magic number for me. And then with the lightest, with a very light touch, you go over again. You have to be very careful with the browns, because if you lay out too much color, it gets very sticky and it doesn't look smooth at all. Okay, so you choose a technique that works for you, either starting with the lightest one, and then kind of map it out to see where you want your shadows to be, or your shading, and then go to the medium dark and then to the darkest. Or you could do the darkest first, like I did here, and then do it the way I did. So you choose whatever it works for you. It also depends on the hairstyles. This is a very basic hairstyle, and it's good to practice. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this very short tutorial. Oh, sometimes I like to add some blush to them, and I love to use pencils better than Copic markers. It's easier for me, or I just like that it gives you like a powdery look to the cheeks. And I like using PC929. This is a Prismacolor pencil, but I guess any pencil you use would work. And then use either a white pencil to smooth it out, or you can use the liquid Gamsol or something similar to smooth it out. I use this one from Hobby Lobby, and with a cotton swab and one of those little guys that you use for, what are they called? The stumps, whatever, I don't know what these things are called. You use them to kind of smooth out color into your images. But either way, I hope that this tutorial has helped you some. I'm gonna make more with a little bit more complicated images, but I wanted to make this one very basic to see if it will help you understand the basic Copic coloring blending on hair and skin. I will be making more videos, so please subscribe to my channel, and I hope to read your comments. Please be nice, and I hope to hear from you and make more videos. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.